Brian took a picture of his wife, Mandy. But in the photo, Mandy wasn't wearing the same clothes she had on. Instead, she was dressed in a heavy fur coat. They figured maybe the camera was broken. Then Mandy pulled the same coat out of an old trunk, stood by the window in the exact same pose, and Brian froze in shock. It looked exactly like the picture. To test it again, Mandy snapped a shot of the front door. When the photo developed, it showed the door opening and a man walking in. It was her brother, Jason, but that was impossible. Jason was serving a 7-year sentence in prison. Right then, the door actually swung open, and Jason stood there. He admitted he'd broken out of prison that very night. The photo had predicted it. That's when the three of them realized the camera showed events 5 minutes into the future. Jason flipped on the TV. There was a horse race on. Brian suddenly had an idea. If the camera showed the future, they could use it to see the results before betting. Pooling their money together, they headed to the racetrack. They aimed the camera at the scoreboard and took a picture. When the photo developed, it showed horse number 6 winning. Brian placed the bet immediately. The race began. At first, horse number 6 was stuck in the middle, but on the final stretch, it surged ahead and crossed the finish line first. The photo had been right. One win turned into another. They bet bigger and bigger, and the money kept piling up, so much they could barely count it. At night, back at the hotel, Brian even ordered a luxury car on the spot. For the first time, they felt like their lives had changed. But then the hotel waiter came in to clear the dishes. He picked up the camera and started fiddling with it. Brian snapped at him to put it down. The waiter squinted at the writing on the side and said, "It says here the camera can only take 10 photos total." All three froze. They quickly counted. 2 photos in the room earlier, 6 at the racetrack, and now this latest one, 8 in total. That meant only 2 were left. Brian wanted to use them tomorrow for one more big score. Mandy wanted to save the camera for the future. Jason suggested selling it outright. The argument got heated. In the struggle, someone accidentally hit the shutter. Another photo slid out. In it, Mandy was screaming. Brian panicked. He thought Jason must be about to hurt her, and if the camera showed the future, then it had to be true. He grabbed a knife and lunged at Jason. The fight pushed them both toward the window, and in a final struggle, they tumbled out together. Mandy stood frozen in the exact same pose from the photo. Now, she was alone, but greed took over. She grabbed the camera, snapped the last shot, and started collecting the cash. That's when the waiter stormed back in. He'd been listening to everything the whole time. He scooped the money off the table and stuffed it into his bag. Mandy reached for the phone, but the waiter sneered, "Go ahead, call the cops. Your brother's an escaped convict. They'll lock you up too." He stuffed the last of the loot into his bag, then picked up the photo that had just developed. "Funny," he said. "This doesn't just show 2 bodies. It shows 3. Mandy froze. She rushed to the window. Her foot caught on a rope and she tumbled out, screaming. The waiter stared at the photo again. This time he swore he saw 4 bodies. When he looked down from the window, there really were 4 bodies on the ground, and the camera lay smashed on the pavement beside them.